Alright, and we're back here on the beautiful gamepad here on the Lithium Project channel. I'm Lithium Project, and we are back with another Game Boy game, another FIFA Soccer Game Boy game, FIFA Soccer 96. Also by way of Probe Entertainment or Interactive or Probe, whatever the fuck they were called by this point, but licensed and published by EA, of course. I was just doing a quick read up on the wiki of this. Apparently, the reviews for the Game Boy version say that this is about as good as a soccer game can be on the Game Boy, and we're 2 for 2 so far on pretty bad entries. So I'm hoping that this one gives us a little bit more to work with. Just got like volume down on that, so otherwise it's going to blast my eardrums out. Let's see what you got for me. I do appreciate a monochromatic EA Sports logo. Probe Entertainment, that's what we're going with. I can hear the music that would come from that. Alright. Does this have any sound whatsoever? Hang on, what's going on here? There we go. So this very much looks like what I'd remember from a FIFA game from the mid-90s. Has a sort of late stage NES Mega Man vibe to it with the menu music there, and I don't hate it. We have options wise. That's not an option. What? Did that just boot me straight into a game? I think it did. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. What? Okay. Because usually with like the older consoles, start is what you'll use to like enter, but I guess A is what we're doing for that. Alright. Game type, action simulation. What could be the differences there? Is it stuff like fatigue on the players? I'm not sure. Same thing here with the football conditions. Same thing with the grass and the artificials. There's not too much difference here. The goalkeepers is new. We've got time display now. That's good. And we have skill options as well. So there's a couple of more additional things to work with here. And we got all the players. Change size. There we go. Just because I was in Holland over the past weekend. United versus Feyenoord. That feels like a classic Champions League match from the mid-90s. But do we have actual players? That doesn't look like... You know, look, I'm not an expert on mid-90s football teams, but, you know, I have a fairly good idea of who would have been in that starting 11 for United, and nothing's ringing a bell there, so I guess we'll just leave that. Alright, so we got a timer, which is new. Other than that, it looks fairly similar in terms of the presentation. We got no sound again. Like, even kind of like a crowd response or something, just to, you know, I know that I know the NES uses 4 tracks. The Game Boy couldn't have used more than 2 or 4 as well, but I don't know, there's potential there for something, surely. Oh, poor score, never mind. That was probably like between the last game and this one, that was the first shot I've had somewhere near target. It feels a bit more stable. Whoa, Jesus. Alright, that's the shot button. it controls a little bit better. Movement's a little bit more fluid. I feel like the ball actually stays on my feet. I need to properly test that and see when I get the ball, can I run with it for more than a few seconds? The main problem really is the camera. It's really jerky, and that was the issue with. I'm just gonna call it FIFA 93 because it's like how I register it, and it's the same thing here, but just the frame rate. It feels like the frame rate is a little bit more stable. How do I pass? Because okay, so passing and shooting are clearly the same thing, which is not ideal. But I do feel like I've had the ball. Well, I mean, I've had shots near or around the target, which is more than I can say for the for FIFA 93. So this is a marked improvement. Either that or I've just gotten better. But I do think it's actually the game. It's weird. Why, for me at least, I wouldn't understand, and maybe it'll come in like later versions, why you wouldn't have the A and B buttons separated between passing and shooting. Like, I'm not expecting, you know, finesse trick shots or even the ability to like pass through or 1-2, but like kind of the basics would be one button would be pass, one button would be oh, we do have crowd noise. Okay, it is possible. Because I don't. Oh, what a goal! What a goal! And like some sort of bowling alley style animation, but in, you know, 2-bit monochromatic. Um, yeah, this does feel like it's kind of crazy because it looks, you know, graphically identical, but there's something about the kind of motion, the fact that like my players feel like they actually have a bit more control over the ball, and we have bicycle kicks apparently. The fuck, Ibrahimovic trying to do that from the halfway line. What are we doing here? Yeah, this is like God bless, you know, as much as we will get on EA for the what has become the annual tradition of sports titles that are released, and you know EA are not the only ones guilty of that. You only have to look at 2K as well for that kind of thing. But you know, there is something to be said for certainly in this early period of FIFA games being given the ability to go and iterate and you know, take a core idea and work on it and make it better basically. And I think what helps as well is the fact that Probe did both these games. I'm very curious to see for the next game like how different they are, because it's a, you know, it's a different studio that they licensed the game out to. But I am pleasantly surprised. I really didn't think. For some reason, I just think because of those first two games, I was kind of like already dead set in my mind that just it would not be possible to make something that even feels playable um, on the Game Boy. But I've absolutely played worse. Just yeah, the main issue is that passing and shooting are assigned to the same button, and it just that makes it very difficult to really get the ball forward in a way that doesn't involve just running. Or I'm just being monumentally thick, which is always a possibility. Okay, it does want to pass. Never mind. I take everything back I've said the last 5 minutes. Passing is possible. Just didn't want to do it before. Which also means this game now has to go up a couple of more notches as well. I wonder, because you know, there's always little things you can do, like that bit of crowd noise there, for example. That I wonder if it would have even been technically possible to even have like a 2-frame animation cycle on the crowd, just to make it not feel so sterile, you know. Oh my god, I've chained like 3 passes together. Oh man, he's on a run. Oh, come on. Went straight through me. I can't tell whether it's because I'm United or because I was Ireland before, but the keepers feel like they're slightly less shit. But that could have just been because I was playing as Ireland. Sorry, Ireland. No offense. There's some basic stuff around. I've been getting into pixel art or sprite work recently. Just trying to get like a basic understanding. And it is like I'm really looking at the game purely from the sprite work. Should have got him. And one of the things that's interesting is like you can see the keeper here, how the keeper's obviously like bleeding through the net, because otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to see him. Um, which is an interesting like it's an interesting choice to do it that way. That's the one that goes in. Sure. All right. I should watch that FIFA film. What the fuck was it called? Because I know it was basically a propaganda piece for FIFA. I can't even believe that was signed off. I mean, you know, they got the money that they could self-fund and publish that themselves anyway. Actually, you know what? Before, like, we're only 30 minutes in. Let's take a couple more minutes just to have a look around and see what else we got here. So we've got leagues. We have all the different leagues, of course. How do I go back? I can't go back. I'm stuck now. I'm committed. Never entirely sure what wants to be used with the pause start button and what wants to be used with the A button. Tournaments. So we're just doing this, but with a bracket system, I guess. No, looks exactly the fucking same. And then playoffs. Is that what I'm thinking of in terms of like a bracket system? There we go. All right, that looks more like it. That's a good looking trophy. That's not the worst looking trophy, in fairness. look, it's simple, but it does the job. All right, we'll leave that there. All right, FIFA 96. Oh, oh no, what do they do with? There we go. Cool. So FIFA 96. You are a FIFA Soccer 96 to be official. So you're a market improvement, massive improvement over FIFA International Soccer. And to be honest, like, you're still rough around the edges, but definitely in a way where I could play more than one game of that and not get bored. Which is more than can be said for, because I'm looking at the other games here, and the only other notable isometric style football game that we've got here so far is Fever Pitch Soccer, and this is actually more playable than that. Now, in fairness, this actually came out after FIFA Pitch Soccer, but I would consider this better than that. I would consider this better than Meerham Soccer 64. And then, you get into the thing with River City Soccer Hooligans where that's unplayable, but that has the weird vibe for it. But I'll take core gameplay over the vibes, so I'll put it above that. Do you know, I'll even put it above 90 minutes Sega Championship Football as well. And I'll put it above Real Sports Soccer. That was the one with the lane pushing style thing. I won't go any further than that because I think when you're going like that far back, and then next you're dealing with like 10-game World Cup Soccer for the Game Gear, and that was more playable just in terms of like an enjoyment kind of thing than this. So I think I found a reasonable slot to place you. Yeah, cool. I'm delighted with that. I was kind of worried that we'd just be throwing all of these Game Boy games down the bottom of the list, but no. FIFA Soccer 96 for the Game Boy is a playable game, and that has me really, really curious about like what these next two games are going to be like, because the license gets moved over to another studio, Tiertex Design Studios, who I've never heard of. Like, the interesting thing, at least with these first two, is I know who Probe Entertainment are. I have played a bunch of their games. I don't know the first. They don't have a wiki entry, so that's always a sign. But we'll get into it. We'll have a look. They got two entries here, so it could be a Batman 90s from Burton to Schumacher sort of situation. Who the fuck knows? I doubt it, but we'll see them for next time. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe. Tell me if you played any of the FIFA games on Game Boy, because like my experience growing up was with the FIFA games, but on console. So this is it's fun to go and actually look at these, like what's the term they use for like the Bloodborne PSX, the demakes. There we go. It's kind of like an interesting take on that, I guess. But anyway, till next time, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again for another installment of the Beautiful Gamepad.